Welcome to the Divorce Awakening podcast,
where you wake the fuck up after divorce.
and you realise that your best life ever is ahead of you.
I'm Delia Munn,
And I'm Sam Brindle.
and we're two happily divorced coaches here to show you that life doesn't end after divorce.
Mate, it's just getting started.
This is your chance to find out who you really are and build a life that you can't even imagine.
We'll be talking about purpose, career change, dating, spiritual shit, and falling in love with yourself.
Let's get into it.
Let's go!
Hey, and welcome back to the Divorce Awakening podcast. Sam and I want to talk a little bit more about dating. Not just about dating, but we did a couple of episodes recently on dating, and we were just having a chat off air about what we think is the number one reason why most divorced people decide not to date or can't face dating or just think the whole thing feels ghastly. And we decided that we think one of the biggest challenges is that we get to this age and we've had relationships or a relationship that hasn't worked out. And it is very hard to imagine meeting someone that working out, right? And having a good relationship. That's what we're saying is it's easy after divorce. I feel like those dreams have been killed. Taken down.
Yeah, and it is very hard to imagine what like a wonderful relationship would look like. And there's a few things like I have now built up quite a list of qualities that I would like a partner to have, like ways that they are, what they do, and when we were just talking off air, I was like, I just don't think that there's anyone who can match that. Like, I just can't see it. I just can't imagine it. And I also don't know what it would be like to have a relationship like that you secretly dream of having one day.
Yeah, I get that. And I'm gonna challenge you on that. Also, because why can't you have that? Like, why can't that person exist? All those qualities that you want in someone, that can absolutely exist. And that type of, okay, so I think another thing, the word relationship is heavy.
Yes.
Like, it is triggering. It comes with so many connotations. It comes with baggage.
Yeah.
Like, you say the word relationship in your body and you're like, oh God. But so let's use a different word, because I feel like you hear the word relationship and it just makes, I know you and I, it makes us want to roll our eyes. So let's say we just use the word unity, right? Reaching someone having a unity of sorts with this person. I think the important thing to remember is no matter what experiences, bad experiences you've had, you get to design that unity with someone. It's amazing. You have a list of everything you would like to meet in person. I do too. I think it's amazing. I think it's the first thing that we should do. Because then we know if we meet someone and they have all the things on that list that would be like, okay, this could be a unity worth exploring.
Yeah. Yes, and it's true. Relationship comes with all sorts of. I think the other thing is that when, like, the list of qualities that I have, I've never been with someone who's had all of those things.
Yeah.
So it's almost like what I'm imagining is something completely made up. And so then your mind will tell you, okay, well then if it's made up. But it's also the fact that our mind can only see as far as it can imagine, and it can only imagine based on what you've either experienced in the past or like what you've sort of
Lived
experience. So if you haven't lived it, it's really hard to be able to see it as something that's actually possible.
Yeah. If you've only ever dated knobheads, not saying you have, then it is hard to imagine that this person who is everything you want exists. However, here we go. However, I would challenge you and say, why can't they exist? Because, like, time and time again, life shows you that you make changes or you meet someone new, and everyone is this delightful cocktail of different ingredients. And there's absolutely no reason why that list of things that you want isn't just work together. It's down the road.
Yeah.
It's as possible as not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's so true. And also the thing is, like, some wise person during coach Tim says, like, you can't imagine what it's going to be on the other side of beyond your imagination.
Like, you can't imagine what you don't know.
Yes.
Because our imagination, for the most part, is made up of things we know have experienced. And so I think one of the big fears when it comes to dating, Sam and I are both in our 40s, but when you're divorced, you've already lived through a relationship that didn't work out. It's really hard to just turn that off, that experience, that memory off, and believe with the mindset almost of a young person who hasn't been hurt and scarred that anything is possible and that you could meet your perfect person. When I say perfect, knowing that no one's perfect, we're all perfectly imperfect humans, but the person that is right for you, there's absolutely no reason why that person won't come into your life later in life.
Yeah.
And they don't have to come in earlier. But the only thing that shifts is our lived experience of change, and we become more, what's the word? Bitter, jaded, closed off, scarred, shut down. And so we don't believe it's possible.
Yeah.
But it is only a belief. It is only a mindset. It is not reality. And it's just as likely you're going to meet your perfect person later in life as it is earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. You're totally right.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. And it goes as well, like, I sort of put in barriers to my own self. Like, but I could have possibly had a relationship that I want my freedom too much. And you're like, first, and that is, if you don't call it a relationship, call it unity or a connection or whatever you want to call it. And then you can design what it looks like.
Yeah. So your perfect person to have a unity with could be heavily free, like heavily free, but like a very free, full of freedom unity.
Yeah.
Because you get to design it.
Yes.
So your unity would be someone who you see once a week.
That's 2 weeks is enough.
But you get to decide.
Like, this is such a massive breakthrough in terms of how you see life. It's like, we get to decide. It doesn't have to happen the way that someone tells you it has to happen. And we get to choose. Yeah, we get to choose what it looks like.
Yeah. Because, I remember going back on the dating apps and starting to think about what it might look like if I met someone. And I remember feeling like shutting down because my brain immediately thought, well, you need someone, you have to live together.
Yeah.
Your lives have to become like fully ingrained, entrenched. And if you're in a place where you're loving your freedom and you don't want that, then a reaction is, well, then I don't want a relationship. It doesn't have to be like that. Like, there's so much grey. Like, and I think there's a lot of power in being divorced, and someone said you get a fresh start and you get to be here, like 42, 43, or however old you are listening. And it's like, I get to now do this how I want to do it. And it doesn't have to be a mirror of what I've experienced in the past. It can be so radically different. But we have to know what we want and then not be afraid to go after it. And it doesn't have to be conventional. You get to meet someone who you see every 2 weeks if you want to. How does that feel?
Right?
Right?
Yeah. And then when you have that perspective on it, it's like, why won't I?
Because maybe there's someone else out there who's like, God, the last thing I want to do is meet someone foot tied down, but I would love to have a special connection with someone who I can talk deeply with and bring into my life and have a deeper connection and sense of love and have my independent life and see them every 2 weeks.
And then pops up Sam.
Yeah. And then he's like, my God, is this like, how is this even possible? I thought all women wanted to move in with you and suffocate you. And it's like, no, this is that mindset thing. Not all women.
Wow. And then when you do think like that, like we had this conversation this afternoon off air, and even having this conversation, it makes everything seem so much lighter, because then it's like, yeah, why I don't have to put so much heavy thought around this.
Yeah.
And it is depressing when you think, no, that can possibly happen.
Yeah.
It's not a high frequency feeling. It's I wouldn't find it anyway. So what's the point of looking at it?
Exactly.
But when you're like, why not? I wonder when I might meet that person.
Yeah.
It's like you get this light sense of possibility. It's like anything can happen. And when you have your eyes open to something, that is when you're most likely to see it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's, when you and I were talking about this off that episode, which is basically what happens in this podcast episodes. And we were talking about it. I think that there's something interesting here, which is that when you catch yourself saying, I can't have this because, or I don't want this because, in that negative is a desire. Because if you flip it, it's actually revealing what you want. Because you said earlier, I don't want a relationship because I want my freedom. And I was like, okay, well, what if you could have freedom in a relationship? And then it's like actually saying what you don't want because of this thing you're fiercely protecting is a sign that that is actually a strong value that you need in your next unity. So it's like becoming aware of what you don't want is going to reveal what you want.
Yeah. And it's very easy to lie to ourselves as well. So easy because we're keeping ourselves safe and put excuses and reasons of why there's no point in trying. They're all there. I've got many, many excuses.
Me too. Like when I was dating myself, and we've done an episode of this for how to date myself as a newly divorced and liberated person. When I was dating myself, I genuinely thought for a long time that I would never go back to dating. And I felt so fulfilled by dating myself that the desire to date dropped so much. And I think there is nothing wrong with that. Like we can be happy on our own and we can be fulfilled on our own. And so I don't want this episode to come across like, no, you have to go out there and you have to date. I don't mean to be saying that as such. But then when I was doing that experience, it also gave me the opportunity to reflect on what I wanted. And I realized that I did have like space and stay like in my heart to have someone if it was what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And then I got really clear on what it was I was looking for. But I remember flying to Paris on my own because I was dating myself and I took myself to Paris for the weekend. And I was sitting in restaurants on my own in Paris and journaling and feeling very chic. Because I was like, screw the patriarchy. I don't need a man to be in Paris with. But while I was doing that and I was people watching and I was reflecting on it all, I actually realized I would be happy to have someone to take opposite of me at that table. I realized on that trip that I could let go of proving to myself that I didn't need anyone. And that actually, if I didn't need someone, but that if the right person stepped into my life, actually, I would enjoy having them sat at their table.
Yeah.
And I think that was, for me, quite a lovely moment when I realized that I didn't need someone, but we want someone a little bit. And that's cool.
And also that thing about proving to yourself that you don't need anyone. It goes in the same bank as I couldn't possibly have a relationship because I think my freedom. It's like a protective barrier that you've put up so that you don't get hurt. And for me for me growing up, I kind of prided myself on the fact that I didn't really have any goals or ambitions in life. And the reason was because I didn't want to discipline. I remember telling people, it's like, no, I don't really have any goals because I don't want to disappoint myself. And so I hadn't really got into the practice of like thinking about what I wanted knowing what I wanted and going to get and be divorced. And that was a choice. And it's like suddenly you have like literally the second half of my life to go. And like you said, it's like a clean slate. And now with the wisdom of being 40, it's like knowing that I can have objectives and goals.
Yes.
And it's okay if I disappoint myself. It's okay if I don't live it.
Because you will be okay.
Because I will be okay.
Yeah.
And also that, I lost my train of thought for a second there. Like knowing that, allowing myself to believe anything. Because I never did that before. That wasn't something that ever entered my mind. It's like I lived in the closed world. That was what was in my control, what I could see. And I'd never dreamed of going traveling or, I don't know, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I'd always kind of stayed in my little comfort zone and done my thing. Or like earning loads of money. or meeting among my dreams. It's just what I just didn't do that.
And now,
And now suddenly I'm like my head's like coming out of them. Like now there's no reason not to believe it. And it's really exciting.
it's so exciting.
Yeah.
And you now, I think you've had a really good point here, which is like you now have the wisdom and the personal experience to know that you get to design your own life and everything is possible. And the opportunity is that we have the wisdom. The challenge that we have is that we could be looking at the world and setting our dreams based on past lived experiences that haven't worked out. And that's the danger, right?
And that's where I'm sitting.
Yeah, at that crossroads.
Yeah.
Of like, on one hand, you've got the wisdom and you've done all the personal development work to know that anything is possible and you can design your dream life. And the past experiences, the trauma, the baggage it's there trying to, it's almost like I've got a vision of like two versions of yourself, right? There's like the wise Sam, wise Sam, who shows up all the time. She's got a paintbrush in her hand, right? And she's painting this picture of like what she wants her life to be like. And then there's the inner child or the person inside that's like going, or perhaps a critic is like, that's not going to work out. Like, well, why do a big yellow sun there in front of rain cloud? You can put a thunderstorm. Like, so you remember that guy Joe that you broke your heart, the next one will too. Don't be so bloody optimistic. And it's like we have to kind of like go, no, you're not having the paintbrush right now. Why Sam has the paintbrush? She is dreaming big and she knows everything is possible. And you little me inside can wash that, go get sandwich. Because you're not painting.
Yeah, lovely image. And that's it. And that is the work to do.
Yeah.
It's knowing, because I think some of these things are quite sticky and quite tricky. And I think particularly around, for me at least, the two areas that are most sticky is relationships and money. They're the two areas that I find it harder to distinguish between that, that's not going to work, voice, and what I really want was. They're the ones like the stories around relationships are quite strong. And so they're the ones like it's hard to, they're the ones that are hardest to break.
Yeah.
Or hardest not break as such, but like let go of.
And that's kind of why we wanted to have this conversation on the podcast, because I think this is true for everyone. This isn't, it's true for me too. Like, you know, I've spent, and we've talked about this person as well, but I spent a long time thinking that I had to be on my own to be because the relationships haven't worked. But I think one difference, this is where lived experience, and we've talked about this before, one difference between us is that I have had one very good, healthy relationship in my past, where there was a lot of freedom and it was a really great relationship. And so when I'm designing and imagining the future, there's an element of me, that little kid with the paintbrush, that actually is like, yeah, no, that does exist.
Yeah.
Because I've had it before.
That's true. But it is hard to let it go. It's hard not to. I mean, I haven't had such traumatic relationships. They weren't necessarily bad, but obviously they didn't work out because I am where I am. So it's quite hard. It is hard to see past that.
It's hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine what we don't know. And so it's hard to imagine that this person is out there that will give you the type of unity that would feel right to you in this situation.
And I think there is also a fear of saying, you know, I would like to find some type of unity. There's a fear of me to sort of announce, of like saying that because of, I think because of the fact that I never really announced my goals or had them in the past. And there is a sense of like, imagine I say it and then I never find that person. There is this like, but again, it's just a fear that's in my head.
Yeah.
It's not real.
There is a piece of like, I don't know, I know that the law of attraction is a bit dubious at times, but I will say in my life generally, anytime I've really wanted something, I have believed that I can get. And I do think if we don't fully believe that we can get something with a lot of desire and getting it, we don't get it. And so it's like you have to, in my experience, I have to say, okay, I really want this thing. And I believe it exists. So, with a ferocity.
Because if you don't have that, you are also coming from it from a place of like not enoughness or what, that you don't believe in yourself enough to get it.
Yeah. Because I understand what you're saying. That's like, okay, if I say it out loud and it doesn't happen, then I'm disappointing myself. Right? And it feels like I'm setting myself up for failure. If you really want it to happen, you have to go with it and surrender to it. You have to surrender to, okay, I'm going to meet my person now.
Yeah.
And trust it will happen.
And surrender to the fact that I might not.
Yeah.
That's okay as well.
And that's okay, yeah.
Because if you go in thinking, I want this, but I'm going to keep one foot out just in case, I'm just going to pretend that maybe I don't want it that much.
Yeah. In life, those are the times when it hasn't happened to me.
Yeah.
I can think of plenty of moments in my life where I've wanted something, but there's been fear there. That fear has stopped me from wanting it enough because it's keeping me safe. I put one foot in, one foot out.
Yeah. It also stops you taking action.
Yeah.
Because then it's the fear of failure, it's the fear of what people are going to say, it's the fear of disappointment.
Yeah. Let's also be honest that, like, you know, you and I have been on the dating apps and it feels like daily evidence that there's no hope because there's a lot of misaligned matches. So diplomatic of you. I read somewhere that it's not a dating pool, it's a cesspit. And I get it. I 100% get it. And how many cool people do we meet every day? Sam and I live in a small village in Spain where you might think you're never going to find your people, right? Like, this is such a good example, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember moving out here to a village that's like 40 kilometers outside of Barcelona on the beach, very Catalan, and feeling like I might not meet my people, but I love this village, right? I wasn't expecting to find my people there. And we met here. We have met another incredible dear friend, Zoe. And the three of us regularly are like, how on earth?
It's so
This
true.
defines the odds. How could you find the best people in the world in this tiny Catalan village? You know, when we were British, like, what are the chances?
It's quite insane.
So that's what we're talking about when it comes to dating. Like, you know, how many or wonderful business experiences or people that just find you and then you end up working with and changing their lives in the perfect moment. And it is this like beautiful synchronicity and alignment. There is no reason why that can't happen for finding a man.
Yeah.
Whatever way. Like, whatever way. But like, as in finding a romantic partner, like, why is it that we time and time again have these incredible experiences that blow our brains with people we meet, and yet we can't allow ourselves to think that that might happen in a romantic way too?
It is. I love thinking about these things because, like, friendships, I haven't really had any bad experiences with friendships.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we moved here 10 years ago and we didn't know a single person here. No, obviously, I knew nobody else, but I didn't ever question whether I'd meet. Like, it wasn't an issue for me. Like, I knew I would meet, and I knew I'd meet friends, and I've met some amazing friends. And yet, when it comes to romantic relationships, it's so murky in my mind.
Yeah.
Because of what we said in the beginning, because I haven't had the experience that I've had with my amazing friendships.
Yeah. But all it takes is one.
But it's all in my mind. I believed I made friends.
Yeah.
Because there was no murkiness in my mind. So it's letting go of the murkiness. It's letting go of like the unknown. I'm just going to assume.
And being curious about how and where it might happen. Because that's the other thing. I think once you can open yourself to it, then you become more open to taking aligned actions to potentially meet someone, right? You might end up going to a networking event or a dinner or something, and just being open to it just might shift your energy.
Just that belief that anything is possible.
That even if you don't believe in manifesting, anything is possible when you decide what you want.
Yeah.
You can listen to what you want and you act on it. It's actually not about manifesting, I don't think. It's not about sitting around and saying, okay, I want to earn more money and I'm just going to sit and meditate every day on my balcony and I'm going to welcome that money into my life, right? That's not what I would do if I wanted. I don't get me wrong. You'd probably catch me with a few mantras taped up to my bathroom walls.
Same.
And I would be like, okay, what are 5 more ways that I could bring in extra money? What could I launch? What could I expand? What could I build on? So it's, again, taking action on what you want.
But being clear on what you want.
Being clear on what you want. And I think divorce is the perfect moment to get clear on what you want.
Like, the perfect moment.
Because when you're in a relationship that, for whatever reason, hasn't worked, and you're not happy in that relationship, I think that you lose touch with what you want. Because you lose touch with who you are. You don't know what you want because it's a bit of a generalization, like to speak from my own experience, like your wants, desires, and needs are often so lost in the family, and lost in maybe trying to save a relationship that doesn't work. So I'll compromise in marriage of these things, like, you got that memo, you compromise to make marriage work. And suddenly you come out of that marriage and you have an opportunity to find out who you are. And I actually think that is the greatest gift you've got.
Totally agree. Totally. I mean, my life has completely radically changed. Maybe not so much on the outside, but I've changed. And like my view of the world has changed. Having done this work, I wouldn't have done this work. I wouldn't have gone down this day.
Yeah.
Had I not got divorced. Because why would I? I was, for my mind, I was like safe in my comforts in this relationship.
That's a good point. Getting your comfort zone. And I think divorce throws you out of the comfort zone. And that's normally where the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
Like that's when.
And, you're in the unknown.
Yeah.
You don't know how things are going to look.
Can you think of examples of changes you made to your life as a result of figuring out who you were and what you wanted?
Well, becoming a coach.
Yeah.
That was not on the cards.
So just your whole career.
Just like literally my whole career. That was my career. I think the way I see my friendships have become, my friendships have always been important. And now they hold a very high place.
Yeah.
The way I prioritize friendship over anything else. Yeah. I think just my general perspective on the way life is has changed.
I think the career is a great example. Like it's like you took that time out to be like, okay, what else is happening?
Yeah.
What do I want?
Because I was asked, like, what do you want to do? And again, it was a very similar situation to the dating. It's like I knew, I did know that I wanted to coach, but I said it very hesitant, as in, that is what I'd like to do. But again, that came with the fear of not knowing if that would work or if I was going to fail it, if I wouldn't be any good at it. And then it was, I can choose what I do, that decision. Whatever I choose is, when you know that everything is possible, then I don't know those feet.
Yeah.
When I go for it. So when you don't have that in your mind of like anything is, it's just really hard to make that jump or make that decision.
For sure.
And back to you, like, is there anything that you can say has changed those things, actions you've taken?
Yeah. So I would say it was thanks to dating myself that I took a lot of time to think about what I wanted. And I was quite intentional with that time, and I didn't let myself fall into somebody else's life, and took time to figure out what I wanted, and everything from knowing what I want in future unity and refusing to really accept anything less. Deciding that I want to do more public speaking and deciding already improv classes. And so like the improv thing was, I just had this feeling, I want to do improv classes. And then I was also feeling like I want to do more public speaking. And I thought, well, improv will probably help me for public speaking. And I started doing improv classes. And I don't think I would have started to do that while I was married. I mean, I'm sure some people do. There's people in my improv classes that are probably married, right? But for me personally, it was honoring a desire that I had to do something different. And improv classes were not, there's no ROI on that. There's no like, I'm spending money to do improv classes instead of growing my business, or it's going to make me fit and healthy. Or, so often I think as women, especially, we make decisions where we can see an outcome or a transformation that feels justifiable. Improv felt random. It was like, yes, I want to do more public speaking. Yes, maybe improv would help, but it was a bit random. It was like, I just had this desire to like play and be creative and be on stage and see what came out of it. It's been the most transformational thing I've done for a long time. Just feel like when I come out of the class, I'm buzzing, and then the ripple effect that that has on my life it's actually huge.
That's what happens when you listen
Yeah,
to what you really want to do.
yeah.
It's amazing.
So I think
It's amazing.
it's a random example, but it's just an example of like, I think knowing what you want is an art that needs to be practiced. Because when I came out of my marriage, I felt I didn't know what I needed. And then it was only through lots of extensive journaling, reflecting when I was dating myself, sitting in restaurants with my journal, that I spent a lot of time reflecting and thinking about what I really want to do. And that took me down a road of improv. And I don't know where it's taken me, but on Saturday, they released the new classes for the next level, and they sell out in 3 minutes. And I set an alarm and got up, got my tickets, and I managed to get in for the next round of classes. And yeah, but I'm on this journey now. I'm gonna like just keep going, and I don't know where it's gonna take me, but I just something just honoring our wounds.
I'll wait to see the next show.
God. So,
But well done, you. Well done. Because listening to yourself and acting on the things that you want, not everything.
no, I like doing that. And I feel I stopped doing it for a while when I in my marriage, but I think divorce is the conflict. So I feel like we've talked about like, themes or that this is an opportunity to figure out what you want, like what you really want, and be mindful of the voices that telling you that you can't have it, whether it be romantically or something else, that might be coming from lived experience, baggage, trauma, and not the reality.
Yeah. And the work and being able to observe that and get curious. Like, why am I not allowing myself to do that? Or why do I think that I'm not? Why do you do that? I don't deserve that.
Yeah.
And start getting really, curious into what you're going to actually play.
And design that dream life and go after, because there is no better moment.
Go get it.
Go get it!